Good morning, Willowbrook. Today's devotional is from Genesis chapter 4, verses 1 through 8. So far in this new year, our devotionals have been through creation, the creation of man and woman, temptation, the fall of man, and the removal from the Garden of Eden. Today, our passage is the familiar story of Cain and Abel. So let's dive in and see what happened. In verse 1, we read that Adam and Eve gave birth to a son, Cain, and later another son, Abel. Verse 2 says that Abel kept the flocks and Cain worked the soil. So Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. Now verse 3 is where it gets interesting. It starts out saying, in the course of time. Now scripture doesn't tell us how much time, but we can look elsewhere in the Bible and get some clues. The Bible only names 3 children born to Adam and Eve, but we know that there were many more than that. Genesis 1:28 says that God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. And we can assume that they did just that. Genesis 5 says that when Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his likeness and named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived another 800 years. So in verse 3, when we read, in the course of time, we really don't know how many people are on the earth at this time, but we know Seth came when Adam was 130 years old. But the Bible doesn't tell us that he was the third son. There could have been many born during that 130 years. We just don't know. We do know that in verse 13, when the Lord tells Cain his punishment, Cain says to the Lord that whoever finds me will kill me. So I suspect that the population may have been more than 4. Anyway, back to verse 3. Somewhere in the course of time, they must have been instructed at some point to bring an offering to the Lord. It doesn't say sacrifice, but offering. When I looked to try and find the difference between the two, I found that an offering is giving as an act of gratitude and worship to God. A sacrifice is the required shedding of blood for atonement. Cain, being a farmer, brought fruits of the soil, a portion of the crops that he had worked to grow. Abel brought fat portions from the firstborn of his flock. Seems like everything is all good up to here. But the Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain he did not look with favor. The text says that Cain was very angry and his face was downcast. The Lord sees this and asks Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, you will be accepted. If you do not, sin is crouching at the door and desires to have you. You must master it. At this point in time, everyone has been banished from the Garden of Eden. They are out in the fallen world, and so is the serpent, Satan. He is at work on Cain. His offering has been rejected. We all know what it's like to be rejected. He is angry, he's prideful, and jealous. He's jealous of his brother. He thinks that his offering is every bit as good as Abel's. He worked the soil to grow it himself. How could it not be acceptable? So in his anger, he lures Abel to a field and kills him. Now we get to the heart of the matter, or should I say, the matter of the heart. You see, the offerings are not what matters to God. It's the heart that matters. God desires your love and faith for who he is, not your gifts. What can you give God who created everything? Now we're just ending the Christmas season and the exchanging of gifts. Think about this for a second. When you go to get a gift for someone, the relationship we have with them really comes into play as you decide what to give. When you buy a gift for a coworker or a distant relative, you pick up something thoughtful, something nice. But when it comes to buying a gift for the one that you truly love, the person that means the most in your life, well, that's when you really go all out and give the best gift that you can. For that person, it's not about you. It's all about them. You give the best gift that you can to please them, to show how much that you really love them. That's what Abel did. That's not what Cain did. But even then, God was telling Cain, do what is right and you will be accepted, rewarded. Hebrews 11 tells us that without faith, it's impossible to please God. Abel had faith in God. I think that Cain had more faith than Cain. This morning, I want to encourage you to be like Abel. Have faith. Give your best gift to God. He will never let you down. Have a great day, Willowbrook.